Hello, everybody. Welcome to the afternoon tune. You just saw me. I just did a review there with some guys, Mike and Grayworks, Forrest there from Movie Night Extravaganza. Just did a review for Naked Gun 1988. Did a retro review for that because of the new Naked Gun that's out in theaters right now. Naked Gun 2025 there. And on this new stream right here, I'm joined by another special guest. I'm joined by Neil. How's it going there, Neil?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing, Josh?
Pretty good there. Thanks for joining me with this here, doing best of 2025 so far there.
Of course.
Yeah, just going to go over some movies there that we've enjoyed of the year. The year is almost half over. We're already in August. Yeah.
That is wild to think about, but time just goes by so quickly these days, it seems like. But it just feels like yesterday that 2025 just started.
Yeah. So yeah, we're already over halfway through the year there. So time's been moving as always. Yeah, time waits for nobody. Uh,
Yeah.
so, so it'll be interesting to discuss. I got your list of their best of 2025 so far. So we're just gonna be going back and forth discussing our favorite movies there, and yeah, and that's how it's gonna work. Might if we have time, might get into a little bit of news here. People are talking about this Fantastic Four, the first steps. Apparently, had a huge second week drop off here, 80%.
I'll be curious to hear about that because to be honest, I have not seen the movie. I want to see it, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But when he told me about what was going on with it, I do have some theories about what might be happening, but it'll be interesting to hear about.
Yeah. We can also discuss that. They are top theories as to why this movie is not performing so well. I saw it. I saw it twice. And we did a regular review for it, and we did a spoiler review for it. That's up on the channel right now, youtube.com/June. Just type that in, you will find it. Yeah, so we'll be getting into that. I think it's the only real news, really, at the moment that I want to talk about there. But yeah, but Neil, let people know about you. What you got going on? What you got coming up? All the good stuff.
I'm doing pretty good. I actually just got back from vacation and got a little bit of the vacation flu, so I'm not sounding too hot right now, but I'm doing good otherwise. Other than that, nothing really new on my end. While I was on vacation, I did catch up with a couple of movies that from previous years that I had not seen due to being in hotels and planes and that such. The first movie I saw was The Substance, the Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley body horror movie from last year, and I have to say I'm not sure if it's the funniest art house horror film I've ever seen or the scariest campy horror film ever made. But either way, I loved it and just could not believe what I was seeing as far as like the plot and like where it goes.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, it was one of my favorite movies the last year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where in hindsight, if I had seen it in time, it definitely would have been on my list because it's wild where this movie goes.
Mm, very nice there.
And
Oh,
and, and then the other movie I saw was Beau is Afraid.
mm,
Ari Aster's very, very divisive third film. And I gotta be honest, I really loved Hereditary and was kind of mixed on Midsommar. Which so it's kind of interesting to say that I love Beau is Afraid.
mm.
I totally get why some people don't like it very much, but when you look at it from the perspective of this being a nightmare for 3 hours, the movie as a whole makes a lot more sense and it's a lot more thematically rich and enjoyable. But it is a big ask just having to endure this movie.
Mm. And you gave it 4.5 stars. Wow.
Yeah, I found the artistry behind it super fascinating, and I'm not going to pretend like I understand everything about the plot or what the overall story is or the themes of the movie are, but I found as a surreal artistic expression really fascinating to watch and engage with.
Mm. Okay. Very nice. So are you going to see his new film pretty soon, Eddington?
Um, I should, but like I just have to get myself mentally prepared for that because I know it's a 2020 COVID movie, and I'm just part of me just really does not want to engage with that subject matter. To be honest, it's just kind of
Mm,
a little too
right.
close to home, you know, in today's world. To be honest, but I do anticipate it to be, if not, I anticipate it to be at least interesting. So I will get to it eventually.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I know some people kind of go like, I just don't want to go back to that period of time there. Yeah, 2020, yeah, the COVID era. Yeah, I
Well,
do.
that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is it's one, I don't really even think we necessarily left 2020 era, discourse, and two, we're just kind of, at least the previews seem like it's just like picking at scab wounds that have just healed up. So like, you know, kind of have to prepare to open those up again.
Mm, yeah. Well, people can find you on Letterboxd, Daphne, if they want to see your opinions on movies there. So very good there.
Mm.
Yeah. And after this stream, I'll go ahead and raid somebody like I just did. Endless Cemetery, he's on right now. Good guy. Also got Rena Giannis is on, Meaty Portable's on. Let's see some other good people that's on right now. I see Pumpkin Boom, he's playing Death Stranding.
Oh, nice.
Which Death Stranding is he playing? Let's see.
Probably number two, I would imagine.
No, he's playing the first one, the director's cut. So he's playing that.
Oh, oh, cool.
So he's doing that. Very awesome. So I may raid him if he's available.
Mm.
Some good people to raid after this stream. That's very awesome. Upcoming streams tomorrow. I'll be doing a review there with Chris from the Black Stuffs podcast and Nick. They're going to do a review of the Disney Plus Marvel series Ironheart. Finally getting around to that. Doing a retro review for 28 Days Later. Then Monday, I'm going to be joined by Sage from Rated Immaturity. Going to be doing a review for Lazarus, the Watanabe series, the new Watanabe series, creator of Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo.
All right.
I will not be available next week to do a show. Friday or Saturday or Sunday, I'll be away on a work trip. But Nick will be doing a show in my absence. Nick is going to be doing a review for that Zach Kreger film, Weapons. And
Oh,
he's
nice.
yeah, he's going to be doing that. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see what people say about that. And he's going to be doing a retro review. I forgot exactly what he said he's going to do a retro review of. I forgot, but he's going to be doing a retro review there of a film there. So it'll be awesome there. Good stuff. But I know the big movies. So it's Freakier Friday that's coming out next week. Weapons that's coming out. I might watch Bad Guys 2 before I leave on my work trip. Maybe do a review of that. I haven't seen the first Bad Guys, but yeah.
Neither have I. I've heard the first Bad Guys is good. I just never got around to it. But Weapons for sure is like one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and Freakier Friday. I hope it's good. I know it's been a while since the last Freaky Friday movie was out, but I hope it's good for its audience.
Yeah, we talked about it. Lindsay Lohan. I mean, millennial icon, I guess. Lindsay
Mhm.
Lohan. I mean, she's comeback. Journey. What was the last big Lindsay Lohan movie in theaters?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because mostly she does like what Lifetime holiday movies now, right?
Yeah, I want to say the last movie in theater she was in was I Know Who Killed Me, but I know that was a pretty infamous bomb. But I think as far as theatrical movies, that's the last thing I remember her being in. But yeah, I think she's done pretty good for herself just being in these smaller TV projects, and it seems like she's in a more healthy mental space these days. So, even if she's not like the big name she once was, good for her for like, getting her life together a bit.
Yeah. I'm looking at her filmography here. So, I forgot she did make a cameo appearance in Mean Girls, the new one last year. She did make a cameo appearance in that.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she was the one at the math competition. She was the announcer.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, she was that. The only movie here I recognize that was recent was Scary Movie 5. That was in 2013. She's in that.
Oh, right. Because I remember because that was in the middle of the whole Charlie Sheen meltdown with Two and a Half Men and everything. And they got them in the scene together because they were both like going through big midlife meltdowns in public.
Okay. And then she was also in that movie. Wasn't that movie made by what's that guy? Inappropriate Comedy, the guy that made the ShamWow or
Oh, yeah. I can't remember if the guy's name was like, is it Ari Shaffur or something like that? The guy's name?
he wrote it, but Vince Offer was the one who directed it. That's the ShamWow
Oh,
guy.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so she was she was in that. So
I mainly know inappropriate comedy from the spill.com review of it, to be honest.
yeah,
I've never actually seen the movie itself, and from what I hear of that review, it's probably better that I haven't.
yeah. So yeah, but good she's back. I'm glad Lindsay Lohan's back. She's looking good. She's looking healthier. So good for her.
Yeah, and I hope people like the movie. And I may not be my target movie, but I hope people like it.
Yeah. Did you see the first one?
No, it was just, it came out in the age where I was just kind of going out of style with Disney stuff, but I know people love it, and nostalgic callbacks are big these days, anyways. So
Yeah. So this came out in '03. How old was I in '03? I was 8 years old, I think, in '03. Yeah, I think I was 8 in '03. Uh, yeah. So
I would have been 14, I think, in '03.
okay. Yeah, so yeah, that was the prime demographic then. Yeah, 18 to 14. Yeah. Freaky Friday.
I don't know. I guess I was just too like into Spider-Man and Star Wars and stuff like that to really like look at Freaky Friday stuff.
Yeah. I wonder what else was big in 2003. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you had Underworld that came out. Oh, Return of the King came out.
Oh
Kill
yeah,
Bill. Okay, nice. Um,
yeah. We were talking about like the Lindsay Lohan like return projects, but the only thing missing is the reboot of The Parent Trap for her to play both the twins again.
that's probably coming next. If this is probably a big hit, that's probably I could see them doing that. Going like, let's do legacy sequel with Parent Trap. I could see them doing that.
Yeah, like, I'm giving Disney a free pitch for the Trap reboot right now. Have it be where both the Lindsay Lohan characters, they're married, but they have their own like relationship issues going on, and their daughters are like, we gotta maybe not swap places, but we gotta come up with a scheme, if you will, to get our moms back together with their husbands or their boyfriends or whatever.
Wow, that's exactly something they do. That's pretty spot on. Yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, let's just do the first movie again, and like, let's make it double. That's kind of like what Freakier Friday is. Like, oh, there's other two people who are there to swap, so it's like a four-way swap, I think, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like the daughter of Lindsay Lohan and her friend are like they're all swapping places with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. So it's like a four-way swap where everybody's doing that. So they
Dis-
double.
Disney, write me a check. I can get a spec script for you over the weekend for this Parent Trap remake.
This is that's just about what they're about to do. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so let's get into this. Let's do the best of 2025 so far.
All right.
And let's get to this news. So we're just gonna be going back and forth. You're gonna give your movie, I'm gonna give my movie, and that'd be it there. So let me pull up my list. I got your list up right here.
All right.
There. So all right. So Neil, let us know. What you got up for best of 2025 so
Okay.
far.
All right. So the movies I have on my list are in alphabetical order. So there's no like ranking of this. I'll say that for the end of the year. But the first movie on my list is Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later. This is a long in demand sequel for the 28 Days Later franchise. And we finally got a sequel to this. And what really struck me about this movie is how out of its way it went to be different than what you anticipate from typical zombie movies. Danny Boyle, the director, is known for having a very frenetic and energetic style. But what's really interesting about this movie is that style is applied to a very small scale story, and it feels very intimate with its characters and what their conflicts are. Those conflicts are pretty atypical from a zombie movie, but at the same time, that's what I found most interesting about it is that it really, it zigged where it should have zagged and really just made its own voice heard in the genre. I don't think it's for everyone. I think people who are looking for more typical zombie movies aren't really going to get the artistic intent of this movie and what it's trying to do. But I found it super engaging and very thought provoking the entire way through.
Mm. I know this movie. We talked about it. Divisive, I guess you would say. I know some people are a little bit split on it. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Especially the ending. Were you a fan of the ending, or did you?
The ending, I will admit, I was not a huge fan of the ending. It makes it better in that it's known that there's a sequel already being made, and it's going to come out in January of 2026. So that makes the ending go down a little bit better. But I will say, it definitely feels like a part one. Definitely feels like a Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows part one situation, where like the movie itself is good, but like it's a setup for something else.
Mm, okay. Okay. I like this very much. It's not on my list, but I did like it. There. We're doing a retro review of the first movie. I haven't watched the first movie in a long time, and also I'll probably watch 28 Weeks Later as well. Um, I
28 Weeks Later is really underrated, I feel like. I feel, both of the 28 movies are just, the thing I appreciate most about them is that they're zombie movies, but they are extremely different and like go and tackle themes that you would never expect a zombie series to do.
mm, nice. Okay, so that's on your list there. Best 2025 so far. First one up is 28 Years Later. Okay, very
Mhm.
awesome. For my list here, the movie I have there again, it's no real order there, just kind of best so far. I haven't really ranked them. But first up for me here, I'm going to discuss is Steven Soderbergh's. He came out with two movies this year there, and one of the other ones spoiled my list a little bit. Will be on my list as well. But this one was Presence. I believe this movie came out all the way early January. This movie came out earlier in the year in January. This is a ghost possession movie here. This is starring Lucy Liu is in it, about this house there that's the family lives in it, and there's like this presence that the girl can feel, the daughter here can feel in this house. And where kind of the story goes is very interesting there. It's not your kind of much like what Steven Soderbergh does, who I like Steven Soderbergh a lot because he plays in different genres a lot and experiments in his filmmaking tactics there. And he kind of does the same thing here. And it's not your typical ghost possession film, which I kind of like that there. And the movie, it kind of puts you in the POV of the ghost, of the presence in the house, which I think is kind of cool there. And also, this is the first ghost possession movie I've ever seen that it's like the family actually scares the fuck out the ghost.
Oh,
Normally it's the other way around. Like the family's kind of fucked up in a way that the ghost is even kind of scared of the family. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little spin on it. But I really enjoyed it. I liked it quite a bit. Very movie came out earlier in the year. Steven Soderbergh, directed by Steven Soderbergh there. I liked it a lot. So
yeah.
Presence is up for me.
I actually saw this movie too, and I quite enjoyed it as well. Everything he says is very true. I really found the idea of like the POV from the ghost perspective to be a very interesting way to tell this story, and it made all the revelations of the character moments seem a lot more like intimate and more like emotional, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well.
Yeah. All right. What's next up for you, Neil?
All right. My next film is a movie that came out earlier this year called Companion. This is a sort of horror film that without getting too much into the story, is about knowing the company you keep and figuring out how to like trust people and when not to trust people. This is a very twisty movie. It's best viewed when you don't really know what the premise of it is, but I thought once you figured out what is going on, it was super engaging and was just very thrilling the entire time. The main two characters are Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. They're both terrific in their roles, and this just really surprised me because I frankly had no expectations going into this about what it was about or what it was doing. But once you figure it out, it's one of the most like interesting movies of the year, and just very timely. I would say in terms of the world we live in.
Mm. This is on my list as well. I liked it quite a bit there. And this was directed by let me see real quick here. Did you already say the name? Drew
Uh,
Hancock.
yeah, I think this is I think this is a debut feature.
Yeah. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's the same dude who did Barbarian, and he's doing this," because they promoted that heavily, like from the same creative team as Barbarian and all that stuff.
Right.
But it was Drew Hancock who directed this, and I think you're right. It is his directorial debut, and I think he did a great job with it. This was a good sci-fi horror type movie here. Sophie Thatcher, who's building a good resume, I thought she was very good in this as well. Jack Quaid is also, I mean, Jack Quaid's kind of becoming like the new Pedro Pascal. He's like Jack Quaid's in a lot of stuff too.
Yeah,
He's
Jack Quaid. I mean, Jack Quaid is really good in that. Like he plays against type in this role in this movie very well, and it just shows his talent as well.
Yeah, because he was in 3 movies I saw this year. He was in Companion, he was in Novocaine, he was in Heads of State, but that was like a Amazon Prime streaming movie, so that's
Oh, I know he was in that one.
yeah, he's in that, so yeah, I like this quite a bit too there, and I'm looking forward to see what Drew Hancock maybe he does next. I'm looking forward to seeing that,
Yeah,
um
me too.
there. So I already said Companion was already on my list. So I'll move on to the next movie on my list there. That is there. And that is going to be for the film called Magazine Dreams. Magazine Dreams is a movie starring there Jonathan Majors there. This was a movie that had a lot of issues as far as coming out because Jonathan Majors was involved in that domestic violence case there, and then so the movie was delayed because of that, and it was supposed to release, I think, under I forgot the production company it was supposed to be at first, but it bounced around there, and then finally ended up coming out this year. And I mean, Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal actor. I mean, incredibly talented. I think you see that here. This is I said this in my review. This is probably the best movie and one of the best performances of the year that you won't see being nominated for any type of awards. I think given because of what happened with Jonathan Majors, but this is kind of, if you watch Joker and were disappointed by that, this is kind of what you would more expect from a movie like that, or the story was trying to tell there. And it really is mainly just a portrayal of this guy. I mean, there's other characters that come in the movie, but it's really just mainly led by Jonathan Majors and kind of the downfall of this guy in him being trying to be a professional bodybuilder. And it really reminds me of something like maybe Darren Aronofsky films there, how kind of tragic it is in that way. The story is telling about this man, portrayal of it. So I thought this was a really, really great film here. One of my favorite films. I think it will stay on my list for best of 2025.
Well, the comparisons you just said of like Darren Aronofsky and Joker really sold me on like wanting to see this, and I agree that Jonathan Majors is a terrific actor, but I hope he can find his feet sooner rather than later. But yeah, like just looking at the footage you were showing, the movie is gorgeous looking. Like the cinematography, how the colors play off each other, and compose the shots. It's fascinating to look at.
Mm. Yeah, it's a really a beautiful shot movie too. Very kind of it's beautiful in the simplistic nature of it, which is also really great. But yeah, I mean, probably won't get any awards recognition there for it. But it is I think a really great film there. Yeah, what's next up for you, Neil?
All right, my next film is the animated movie taking Netflix by storm, K-pop Demon Hunters. This essentially takes the Into the Spider-Verse animation style and applies it to a more like Korean slash anime type story. It is a pretty typical story. I'm not going to front. It's pretty typical, but at the same time, the animation and the energy of the movie is so infectious and entertaining that you don't really think about that. It's just minute for minute one of the more like energetic and entertaining movies of the year, and just the animation just really does a lot of the heavy lifting of telling the story of like the plot and the characters, as you can see how expressive they are. This is led by a couple of relative newcomers to the animation industry, Maggie Kang and Chris Applehans, who really just show a lot of great eye for detail with the animation and just storytelling. And I look forward to seeing what these two do for the inevitable sequels, because this first movie really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I had fun watching this. We did a review of it. I had Jenny Liano on. Jenny, who's a big K-pop stan, loves K-pop music there, and it was interesting to hear her talk about it, being such a big K-pop fan and getting to all the social commentary of the movie that's presented here. the Easter eggs, the references to K-pop music, K-pop culture here. I thought that was very interesting. So it was great to have that perspective. Did you have that a little bit of perspective coming in watching the movie? Be a K-pop fan or anything like that?
I'm not the most knowledgeable K-pop person in the world. I'm more of an anime and J-pop fan, to be honest. But I found, just I found a lot of the themes are really interesting and universal, between all the characters, and just thought the animation did such a great job of selling the emotions and everything about the movie that it just really worked.
Mm, awesome. And you're right. It is one of the biggest movies on Netflix right now. Also, I think they've talked about they've tried to. I think there was rumors that they were going to do live action, but I think they shut that down. That they're not going to do a live action
Uh,
version of it.
just
Uh,
just make a couple good sequels. Just do that first.
I did hear that they are planning on making a sequel to this. I think I did hear that, so they're planning on doing that with it.
Yeah, good.
Uh,
It deserves it.
yeah. So yeah, Neil's got a K-pop Demon Hunters on his list. Next up for me on my list of best of 2025 so far, I got, like I said, I was going to do another Steven Soderbergh movie, and here is the other Steven Soderbergh film. It is Black Bag. Black Bag starring Michael Fassbender and Kate Blanchett there. This movie about two people who kind of work for this government agency there. They're somewhat spies in a sense there, do a lot of covert work. And it's like, how do you operate in a marriage when both of you do this highly secretive, top secret job that involves deceiving people for a living? You have that aspect of the movie here, which is very fascinating. You have Michael Fassbender, who's this top level, he's a human lie detector. He's so good at telling when people are going to lie. He's so good at running lie detector tests. That it's interesting to watch him kind of just investigate his friend group to see who's behind this. There's like a MacGuffin in the movie. There's like this plot device that happened of who's behind leaking the information or some. That's not really the most interesting thing about it. It's just these actors and how all of them are interacting with each other and him trying to figure out who's behind it. That really is the most fascinating thing about this movie. And the cat and mouse game that's played here. And I really enjoyed it a lot, and I really loved it quite a bit. Again, Steven Soderbergh playing around in different genres. This is a spy type thriller type film here, which was very interesting and very good. She's a good standout in the movie, by the way. This was the same actress who played Amy Winehouse in the biopic there, and she's very good in this.
Oh wow, would
Um,
not have been able to tell that.
yeah. But you got Reggie Page or Reggie John Paul Page or
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yeah,
Reggie.
that guy Reggie John Page there is in this. Yeah, so you got a good actors there. But yeah, Pierce Brosnan is also in this. Very good.
Yeah, this movie looked really. I never got around to it, but it looked really good. I kind of like the idea of marrying like a spy thriller and like a relationship drama. That's kind of the impression I get between Michael Fassbender and Kate Blanchett and all the people that they're involved with. So it looked really good. Yeah, I'll have to get around to it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, very awesome. All right, what's next up for you, Neil?
All right. My next one is probably the silliest movie that will come out this year. One of Them Days with Keke Palmer and SZA, who are just a great comedy duo. These two women are hilarious, and this is one of the best comedies one of the best major comedies I've seen in a good while. They have great chemistry together. The jokes are pretty simple, but they're delivered really effectively and very well by all the actors. And this is just one of those like lovable buddy comedies that I can see being on repeat on many people's TVs forever. This is just lights out comedy on all fronts.
Yeah, and I think is this the acting debut of SZA? Or
It is. It
okay.
is.
So this
Yeah.
is the acting debut of her. Keke Palmer always is fantastic. I mean, she's been in Hollywood a long time since she was a little girl. Just natural charisma, natural talent there, natural kind of funny presence and everything she's in. So she's amazing there. And they work well together. I think they bounced off each other incredibly well in this movie.
Yeah.
I think this movie was also a big hit in the theaters as well on a small budget there. This did really, really well.
Yeah, it was a surprise breakout hit early in the year. It came out in January, and I don't think it grossed like a million kajillion dollars, but it was very successful. And it just really, I was just the thing that amazed me the most is just how well Keke Palmer and SZA work together as a comedy duo. Like I could see like 3 or 4 movies with them together and still laugh a lot with them.
Mm. And this had a budget of 14 million and had a box office of 51.8 million. So it did have
That's
that.
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I think a sequel. I think they've talked about a sequel is coming, is possibly. So, yeah. What would be your name for the sequel? Two of them days, or what would be your name? What would be your thoughts on
That's a good question. One of them weeks, maybe,
one of them weeks? Okay,
or
yeah.
one of them years, something like that.
Okay, yeah. I think I asked that to somebody else. They were like, I said it's gonna be the 28 days later of comedy movies, where it's like 28 weeks later, 28 years later. Maybe maybe one of them weeks. Yeah, maybe that's gonna be the name of the next one. So,
Right.
yeah, very much like a female Friday. So the female Friday.
That's what I kept coming back to. It's like I love the original Friday, and I kept thinking, wow, this is like the spiritual successor to Friday that we just never got until now, and I loved it.
Yeah, so I know people been waiting for a Friday sequel forever, another Friday movie forever. Well, hey, this can maybe hold you over, maybe. Yeah.
It should. It should. It's right up in that same tier.
Talk about another big breakout hit of the year on my list. I got Sinners, the Ryan Coogler movie here. This movie probably, yeah. I mean, a lot of people talk about it, a lot of hype around it. After it came out, there people going like, "Man, I absolutely love this movie," and I was one of those people. Greatly enjoyed this. This was one of my most highly anticipated movie of the year. Like Ryan Coogler, I like a lot of what Ryan Coogler does. This was on my list of most anticipated movie of 2025, and I think it lived up to my hype and my expectations. Actually, it maybe blew away my expectations of how much I really liked this a lot and what this movie did visually. The performances in this, I know some people maybe were kind of worried about Michael B. Jordan if he's going to step up to the plate as being the lead actor of this, especially doing a dual role there, playing twins. I think he does a phenomenal job here. Jack O'Connell does amazing here as the lead vampire of Remick there. The look of this movie, the music of this movie is very amazing. People say, "Oh, well, I don't get it. It's just Dust Till Dawn." No, it's much more than From Dust Till Dawn, I think. And I think this is such a great movie here, and loved what Ryan Coogler did with this. Yeah, absolutely enjoyed this. Absolutely loved it.
Spoiler alert, this is also on my list, and you are right about every single thing. In addition, this is one of the most stylish movies of the year. Just the way, scenes are composed. There's so many great scenes in this movie between the characters. There's one scene in particular in the middle that's a music performance that will be the best scene of the year for any movie. Like, I have no doubt about it. But what really struck me about this movie is just how thematically rich it is. Like, yes, it's a vampire movie, but it's also all about a lot more than just like the vampire stuff. It's about how culture is developed and appropriated and then taken back by its originators. It's one of the most thematically rich movies I've seen this year, and it's killer. This movie is going to be one of the best movies of the year by the time it's all said and done. Easy.
Yeah, I think as far as movies on my list, I feel like there are a lock. I don't see it moving on my list. I think Sinners is one of them.
Yeah, I cannot imagine it being off my list, but it's just a fantastic movie any way you slice it.
Yeah. All right. What's next up for you there, Neil?
All right. Next on my list, this opened up internationally late last year, but it came into America earlier this year. Paddington in Peru. I love the Paddington movies, so this might be a little bit of a personal pick, but Paddington is just such a delightful character, and the world is just so light and optimistic and cheerful that I just love seeing this character and the Brown family go on another adventure. It's very, the themes are pretty universal about family and the importance of all that. But Paddington is just such a delightful character that it just makes this latest outing just great to see. The fact that they go to Peru adds a new dimension to it, and it's just delightful.
Mm. Yeah. I got into the Paddington series there. I absolutely love the Paddington series. These movies are so delightful. So perfectly delightful there. It's not the Paddington Peru, not my favorite of the series. I think it's a little bit of a step down from 1 and 2, but I still like it. I still think it's good.
Yeah, I think it's like the Return of the Jedi of the Paddington series, where like the first two are so good that even though the third one isn't quite as good, it's still really enjoyable. My favorite part about this movie, though, is Olivia Colman. She's one of my favorite actresses working today, and she plays a crazy nun who works at the home for retired bears. And just any movie that Olivia Colman is in is something I want to see because she is just so good. Like everything she's in, amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Usually they'll do that, get a veteran actor to come in and play like the villain role, like they did have with Hugh Grant was in it. That was a really great role for him.
And Nicole Kidman in the first one.
Nicole Kidman in the first one, which was really great. So yeah, even though it's a step down, I still think it's good. I still think it's a solid movie, even though it's a step down from. It's just that the first one and two was so great and so perfect that it's like, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Next on my list right here, I got Ninja 2. This was huge, massive success. This is a Chinese film here. I think this is the highest grossing film in Chinese history, I think. There. Yeah, and it came over to the States there. I was able to see it. Even though I did not see the first one, so this is the first I've seen of the Ninja series there. I was very much impressed by this. I think this is probably one of my favorite animated movies of the year. It is gorgeous in its storytelling and its visuals and its action there. Um, you definitely get the epic nature of this, from watching this there. This is the English, so they are re-releasing the film in an English version of it, and this is the trailer for that one. I saw it in theaters when it was the subbed version of it there. But yeah, if people did want to go experience this film, I highly recommend checking it out there. Especially now, if you don't like to read, hey, you get they cater to you. Hey, it's coming back out again, but this time an English version of it. So
Folks, learn how to read during movies. It'll make your life better. But I'm glad this movie is done well. I never got around to it, but I am very interested in it. I was kind of worried about not having any context for the original movie, but I'm glad to hear that you were able to follow it, given that you had not seen the original.
yeah, so I had a great time with it. Really, really great time with that. Did you want to go to your next one, Sinners, or did you want to move on to the one after that?
I'll just move on to the next one after we covered Sinners. So.
Okay. What's your final movie on your list there?
My final movie is the first movie I've seen in theaters twice since The Batman, and that is Superman 2025. This is one of the zaniest, but also the most heartfelt and sincere blockbuster movies of recent memory. All the cast, David Corn Sweat, Nicholas Holt, Rachel Brosnahan, and Eddie Gathegi do great work in their roles, but and it also has great action, as you would expect from modern superhero movies. But what really makes this movie special is just how heartfelt Superman is as a character and how sincere its message of just doing the right thing in a world that doesn't make sense anymore is. This is
Mhm.
one of the most timely blockbusters in recent memory. It's also just the most like heartfelt and emotional one of recent memory too. I loved every single thing about this movie, and it's just incredible. Like I love this movie so much.
Mm. A lot of fun. James Gunn, Superman there. We haven't seen a solo Superman movie in over 12 years because Man of Steel came out in 2013, I believe.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been a hot minute.
and yeah, this had a lot on his shoulders because it had to be. This is like James Gunn's first big outing as a DCU. This is like, hey, this is his first big movie in it. His new DC universe, and I think he knocks it out of the park. I really had a lot of fun with Superman in this. I think it's my second favorite comic book movie of the year. I think Thunderbolts for me is number one, but this was a lot of fun, and people saw this and remarked of like how it made them feel like it kind of feel like Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies of the goofiness of the superhero movie, but in a good way.
Yeah, it definitely reminded me of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. It's just, in addition to the goofiness, just the sincerity of it. Just like the fact that Superman just feels so earnest as a character and you believe all of his emotions and like what he's trying to do in this movie. And just everything about it just works. It's hard to explain, but it works so well.
Kindness is the new punk rock. It had a theme, a message there going with it, which I think is why I would maybe put it above something like Fantastic Four because I felt like it had maybe more to say and it had more to do there than Fantastic Four. I think so. I did.
Yeah.
I'll move on to my next one here. my next film, and it's a horror movie here. A horror movie there from the Filippo pairing there. It is a movie called Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back, Neil. Bring Her Back. Yeah, this horror movie here from A24. I liked their last movie a lot, Talk to Me, which Talk to Me was on my list of favorite movies of the year it came out. And I think this might be on my list there when all of the year is said and done. Really greatly enjoyed this a lot. This has Sally Fields in it, and seems like the thing that they're doing, these directors, they'll take like a veteran actress, and then they'll pair the veteran actress up with like an actor who has no experience or little to no experience. Like this girl here who is actually visually impaired. I think this is the first thing she's ever acted in before, and she's absolutely amazing in it.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, oh,
Oh, okay. But yeah, so this is like her first thing ever there, and I think she does a phenomenal job in it. It's a movie about these two adopted siblings there. They get adopted by Sally Fields' character, and they start noticing some weird shit kind of going around in this house, and how kind of things develop from there. Sally Fields, and she's so amazing in this movie, just as far as you even though what she's doing, you do sympathize with her, you understand her kind of what she's kind of doing and why she's doing it, and she's such a really great at, even though she's doing something that maybe not the most right thing, you do understand her motivation for it, and she makes you really care for her for that. And I think that's a really great storytelling there.
yeah.
Um,
I absolutely love Talk to Me as well, and I regret not seeing this in theaters, but I definitely want to later this year. I'm glad to hear it's great, but because their last movie Talk to Me is just so good, and this one just seems in that same tier as well.
yeah, you would definitely be uncomfortable. A lot of people going like, "This was so uncomfortable. It made me squirm, and it made me kind of." Yeah, and I was definitely one of those people. But I love movies like that. I love horror movies like that.
As long as the movie's good, that's all I care about. So I'm glad to hear.
Yeah. Next on my list is a movie that just was a new addition to my list after seeing it. Naked Gun, 2025. Naked Gun. I had a lot of fun with this. This was a really good time. A very funny movie. Liam Neeson is I think one of the perfect people to step into the role there after Leslie Nielsen, given his track record of what we know Liam Neeson to do, the serious action guy. He's kind of had this career renaissance, but now he's kind of spoofing that a little bit in this with this new Naked Gun Legacy sequel here. But yeah, the gags really work. It's really funny here. It's a brisk hour and 25 minutes, so you can get in and out watching it, so you don't have to spend too much time. I think that's always great for a comedy to know when to get in, get out. The chemistry between him and Pamela Anderson is really great in this. It also really works. Yeah, so really great time watching this there. Yeah. You gonna say something?
Yeah, I definitely want to see this. I gotta be honest, I'm shocked that this is getting such great reviews, but I'm legit really happy it is, just because the original Naked Gun is a comedy classic. And when I first heard that they were redoing this, I honestly did not have great expectations for it, but I'm glad that it's really working.
Mm, yeah, and think about the trailer is they don't show all the best bits and gags in the trailer. Like there's a lot of great stuff that when you actually see the movie, that it's like, oh, that's really funny, and they really do some great stuff there. So not all the good stuff is just in the trailer, which is really nice.
I will say the thing that made me like pay more attention to it was that teaser trailer they did where they did like the police memorial wall, the gag at the end of that. That was the first thing I saw of this movie that was just like, okay, okay, you're on to something here.
Oh yeah, that was really good. Yeah, they do the whole line of people crying over because like much like these legacy sequels, everybody's the related to the character of the first movie. You know what I mean? Keep the connection. So, and they do the O.J. Simpson bit, which got a big laugh in my theater as well when they get to him. So that was really good.
The first time I saw that particular joke, I was like, okay, all right, you're on to something here.
Next on my list is another comedy. It's a comedy from Tim Robinson called Friendship. There, this is Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd. There, this is very much like if you're. I mean, I guess much like with Naked Gun too. I mean, comedy is very subjective, so it depends on if you're going to find this funny or not. I like this type of style of humor. This kind of awkward, uncomfortable style of humor. That's what kind of Tim Robinson operates in there. And I think it works. And then watching this movie made me go back and watch his sketch comedy show there. I think it was called like Tim Robinson Show or something like that.
Yeah, it's called I Think You Should Leave on Netflix.
I think you should leave, yeah. On Netflix there. It's like 15 minutes each episode there, like a series of sketches. which is really good, really funny. So it made me go back and watch that. It was really good. But this movie, just involving a guy who starts building a friendship with Paul Rudd's character, and how kind of awkward that kind of goes, which I thought was really good there. But yeah, I think this really kind of works on that. I had a good time. I laughed a lot in it. But yeah, it depends if you kind of find this humor funny. It kind of depends. It's
I
very
will
particular.
I will admit, like I do find I think you should leave really funny. I guess the question I would have is like, how does this like is this like a 90-minute I think you should leave sketch, or is it more like a fully fledged movie?
Um, no, I don't think it feels too much like a sketch, like that. I think it kind of has a good story in it, kind of going on. It doesn't really go that far with the concept of it. That was kind of one thing I said about the review, was that because you think it's maybe going to touch on things like maybe men and friendships with men and how that's needed, or kind of make a social commentary on that a little bit. But it doesn't really delve too much into that, or the concept of that. It's just kind of used mainly just to set up for things. That was one thing I was like, I wish it kind of maybe delved into that a little bit deeper. But doesn't really fully explore that. But I still thought it was still very funny for what it was there. But yeah,
Okay,
um,
well I'm glad you liked it then.
yeah. Last movie for me is the Bong Joon Ho film Mickey 17. This was a movie starring Robert Pattinson there. This is based on a book there as well. And this was, I think, a little divisive. There's some people really liked it, and there's some people kind of just kind of felt it was mediocre or not so good, especially compared to the other work of Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite, there, and this movie kept getting delayed. It got delayed like 2, 3 times. This movie did. But I don't think it's the best Bong Joon-ho has ever done. But I still thought it was a decent outing from him, and I think even like a weak Bong Joon-ho movie is still better than most people's great stuff there. And Yeah, I mean, this movie, we've had a lot of movies about tech billionaires and that it's been spoofed in that. Even something like Naked Gun did it. Here you have Mark Ruffalo, who plays a combination of Trump and Elon Musk together there, with the villain of this movie. But yeah, but from people who read the book, they said the book more gets into the cloning aspect of things and the moral ambiguity of that. Like, is it right? And is a clone a full fledged person or not? Where the movie kind of skirts past that and doesn't really delve into that all that much. But did you check this movie out?
I did, and this is gonna be the only film I like hard disagree with you on because like I did not really care for this movie to be honest.
Mm,
I thought it had a very fascinating concept, but then it just had way too many stories going on. The fact that you have characters like Stephen Ewan and Tony Collette and all these really big name actors, and it never felt like they had much to do in this. And by the time the ending rolled around, I felt like there was 3 movies worth of story combined into like a one singular 2.5 hour movie. I applaud the ambition. I think Robert Pattinson is giving one of the all time great Looney Tunes live action performances in this movie, but like as a movie, I just felt like it just didn't really work for me. Unfortunately, I'm glad it did for you though.
yeah. And I see that with people. I see it kind of not working there with that. But I think they are planning on working together again in another movie, him and Bong Joon-ho, I think, maybe.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, I don't think it's a. I mean, I'll see how the rest of the year shakes out. I think Mickey 17 might move out of my top 10. But I'll see how the rest of the year shakes out. But yeah,
Hmm.
that was my best of 2024, 2025 so far. That was Neil's best of 2025 so far. Had a lot of great picks there. I'm glad our lists were different. Had a lot of different movies on there.
Yeah, you gave me a lot of really good suggestions for movies to check out, particularly like Black Bag. I really want to, I'm happy to see those movies on your list.
Yeah, awesome stuff.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this news, and then I'll head out here, and then we'll race my. You guys.
Oh, can I plug in my computer real quick? Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. Very awesome there. Just gonna get into this news, discuss Fantastic Four, then head out, and then yeah, raid somebody. Still some of the same people on right now. But yeah, that's it. Oh, all right,
All right, I'm back.
awesome there. Okay, let me cue this up right here, and we go ahead and get started.
Right.
All right. So, our only news of the day is going to be discussing Fantastic Four, um, the first steps, the latest MCU movie out right now. Not apparently not doing so hot. It's not flaming on. There, like some people maybe hoped it would. Um, and we're just going to discuss there maybe final outcomes of the movie. We're going to guess that the 80% second week drop off that this movie has there. We're going to discuss maybe some possible reasonings behind that. Why it's having such a huge drop off, especially compared to Superman, which only had the second week 52% drop off in its second week. I know that Neil, you haven't seen this latest Fantastic Four movie. Um, do you know somebody who's seen it? Did talk to them about it a little bit, get their impressions of it? Somebody you trust review wise?
Honestly, no. I'm actually supposed to see this with my best friend a little later this week, but I've literally never talked to anyone about this movie. But I will say I am very surprised to hear about the drop off rate though, because like you said, it's got good reviews, it's got good word of mouth. So but it is interesting how this just isn't really lighting up the charts as much as people would have anticipated.
Mm. Yeah. So this is the article right here. It is from Variety. Um, Here, so it says right here, Fantastic Four grossed 11.9 million domestically in its second Friday on the big screen, marking a devastating 80% drop from its debut. If the poor turnout continues, the film will most likely fall short of its initial weekend two estimates of 45 to 52 million by Sunday. Its domestic grand total currently sits at 170 million and could reach as high as 198 million by the end of the weekend. Marvel shelled out more than 200 million to produce Fantastic Four. There, so that's what you got there. And the movies that they released, the article goes on to mention things like Thunderbolts, which didn't do really that well. I think Thunderbolts maybe is considered a bomb there. That didn't even get to 400 million. You did also have Brave New World, which came out this year earlier in February, or was it March? I forget
It
exactly.
was uh, it was February. It was right
February.
for Valentine's Day.
Okay, gotcha. So that movie made 400 million. But it seems like a lot with these Marvel movies is that it could even be mediocre and it could clear 500 million easily. And it seems like that's no longer the case. The final box office for Thunderbolts was 382.4 million. Let me look up Brave New World to see what the box office on that was real quick.
I think
Uh,
that was slightly more than Thunderbolts, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so Thunderbolts. Brave New World had a box office of 415.1 million. There, so it got a little bit of that. But yeah, I know you didn't see it, but we're going to discuss a little bit of speculate as we do. What some of the reasons why you think it's having such a big drop off?
Right. If I okay, so I actually have like three ideas of like what is happening with this movie in particular. I think one of the biggest ones is that Marvel is kind of in their rebuilding mode right now. They're ever since Endgame, they've been kind of on a little bit of a downward slump in terms of audience enthusiasm and box office returns. And I just think post Endgame, we're not in the era where Marvel could just release any movie and expect to make it close to $1 billion anymore. I think they just have to like sort of rebuild the brand a little bit. And I think this is just one of those. I think stuff like Thunderbolts in this movie are kind of victims of that, unfortunately. It's just kind of a necessary thing to do after you've done your big crescendo moment with Endgame to like rebuild a little bit.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's kind of one of the reasons. After Endgame, a lot of people go like, "Well, that was the end game. Damn, you still doing movies? What's happening? This is still going." And I think a lot of people dropped off because of that. And then they were like, "Yeah, after Endgame, I'm done with this. It's all these movies, and just are not really coming back there." But you did have stuff like Deadpool and Wolverine, which did make $1 billion. I think a large part of that reason is because nostalgia. I think a lot of people, hey, it's Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine, and it's
Mhm.
there had been a minute seeing Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, so there had been some good distance between that as well. And then plus, I think this was a movie also about Deadpool and Wolverine, about the cameos. Like, who are you going to see? Like, oh, you're going to see this person, you're going to see this person, who's going to pop up in it as well. Which I think that kind of lended a part of it. And I think when you look at the other ones that have done recently really, really well, like Doctor Strange 2, that was a lot about that, like multiverse cameo nostalgia. You got to see the Illuminati or the Illumawati. So you got to see John Krasinski as Reed Richards, and you got to see Patrick Stewart in the classic X-Men animated series where he's in his chair, and then the X-Men animated series music played and all that stuff. So there was also a lot of that. Also, the same thing can be said for Spider-Man No Way Home, where you had the two
Right.
other Spider-Man coming. That was also nostalgia, and that was a big thing. Is that why you think like kind of recently like Deadpool and Wolverine and those movies did well?
I definitely think that had a lot to do with it. I would also, Doctor Strange is kind of the weird outlier in what I'm about to say, but I also think just the X-Men and Spider-Man are more household names than the Fantastic Four are in general. I mean, I know the Fantastic Four are super important for like for like the history of Marvel as a company and as a superhero publisher, but at the same time, they're not as well known or appreciated as like a Spider-Man or a Wolverine or even a Captain America at this point. And I just think it's a little bit of an issue of like these aren't the most popular superheroes in the world, as as important as they are to the history of the medium. They're just there aren't that many Fantastic Four diehard fans as there are like Batman diehard fans or Spider-Man diehard fans or things like that.
Or yeah, Superman. Like Superman is just more of a recognizable kind of thing, easy to kind of everybody knows Superman. Superman's the easy sell. That's kind of what maybe motivated a lot of people maybe to go see Superman. Even
Mhm.
though I know Superman's not doing the best overseas, it's not really doing the best overseas there.
Right.
Um, yeah, and also, do you think it could be another explanation could be you have had so many bad Fantastic Four adaptations in the past, and I know there's been good amount of distance between, like some of these because it's been about 10 years since the last Fantastic Four movie. Do you think that's could be also a contributing factor to it?
I definitely think it has because, like, they're like just because, like, let's be real. Like, aside from like the 2005 and Rise of the Silver Surfer movies, like all the Fantastic Four movies are not good. Like the 2015 movie that you're showing on screen is legit one of the worst blockbuster movies I've ever seen, like in theaters, and it's just like there has never been a fully successful Fantastic Four adaptation, and I think that's partly what is like why there is not a big fan base for them. Like, because there have been a couple of bad Batman movies, but there are a lot of really good Batman movies, so that's how it's helped maintain the fandom all this time. Fantastic Four, unfortunately, really doesn't have that where they can say, "Oh, well, there was one really good Fantastic Four movie back in the days." Like, no, like even the best Fantastic Four movies were just kind of okay in hindsight.
Mm. Yeah. So I think maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah, a little bit of just bad brand recognition with it. Like I said, there's never been a good one of these ones. And, it's like, yeah. So I think that had like something to do with it. Even though it's getting good reception, Thunderbolts had good reception as well. Um, with that, like you said, it could be the same thing with Thunderbolts as well. Just like not a lot of these are C-list, D-list characters that not a lot of people care about, but
Right.
they did really well with Guardians.
Yeah.
So that was C-list, D-list characters. So what do you think there?
Yeah, that's the thing is like with both Guardians of the Galaxy and Thunderbolts, to be frank, I had never heard of them before their movies came out, but at the same time, I feel like we're not in the Marvel Rising era where they could release a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy and get $800 million. I mean, we're Marvel is kind of established at this point, and to a certain extent, it's kind of run its course with the casual audience. So to launch a movie about characters like the Thunderbolts or the Fantastic Four that don't really have the same level of brand recognition, it's not. I don't think it was going to work, unfortunately, and it just the results speak for themselves.
Yeah. And speaking about brand recognition, I mean, just the MCU as a whole, which, after Endgame has been so up and down, and they've had some really bad ones, like I think Ant-Man 3, which I'm playing Ant-Man, and the Quantumanium, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium is one of the worst ones they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this came out and this didn't do so well in the box office. Um, and I remember people going like, "Okay, is it over for Marvel? Are they kind of sinking?" But then this was also the same year that Guardians 3 came out, and that did really well, and that made 800 plus million dollars. So it did about on par with the rest of the Guardians movies there, and it also came out in a crowded time because when Guardians came out, you also had Spider-Verse that was also out, you had Fast and Furious was also out, you had Little Mermaid that was also out. So it
Mhm.
did really well amongst the competition amongst all those other things. Do you think, yeah, just people, just the brand at MCU has to regain the trust of the audience there?
I definitely think that's like the main thing about it is because you mentioned like some things are good like Guardians 3, but then Ant-Man is bad. There's definitely an inconsistent quality to a lot of these recent Marvel movies that's just kind of hard to ignore. The fact that in the same Marvel phase of movies, you have movies like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Spider-Man No Way Home in the same in the same phase as like Thor: Love and Thunder and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It just really shows like a lack of consistent quality that is really kind of driving these box office returns down. And I think part of the rebuild mission has to be just have the quality be more consistent because you know I don't think many audiences are going to want to watch another movie like Thor: Love and Thunder again in theaters.
Yeah, I think this did Love and Thunder. I think did pretty decent in theater. I think it made like 600 something million. I think I want to say so. It did kind of decent there. Let me make sure I get it right there. Yeah, it made 760.9 million. So it did really well. Um,
769 million is too much for that movie.
so I don't know. Maybe it's because, but then I don't know because Ant Man didn't. But Ant Man movies never did that very much well. So maybe it's like with the more legacy established characters that their movies are kind of going to do better than because like Captain America: Brave New World, we'd already seen Sam Wilson, Captain America. So,
Right.
so there was a little bit more buy-in there with that as opposed to maybe something like Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four.
I definitely think that has something to do with it because like the name Captain America, even though it's not Steve Rogers, it's still like a super recognizable name. Whereas like, the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four just don't really have that cachet with, the mainstream normie audience.
Yeah. And I know they try to do the rebranding of like, the new Avengers and maybe that would drum up some attention for it. But that just yeah, that didn't really do anything for it really with that aspect of it. So yeah. Why do you think because we talked about a little bit with Superman, so you just think it's mainly just because on par critically they're pretty much the same audience score, critic score. Do you think it's just because of just the brand of Superman? Is just that's why?
That Superman definitely is a big elephant that is impossible to ignore. But I also just think, the month of July is super crowded for blockbuster movies. Like before Superman, Jurassic World, the new Jurassic World movie came out, and that was a huge hit. And then Superman came out, and then Fantastic Four. So like in the span of like 4.5 weeks or so, you have three major blockbusters come out, and I think people have to be picky with their money these days. They can't necessarily afford to see every big movie in theaters these days. So I think for a lot of people they chose the dinosaurs and Superman over over Mr. Fantastic. Unfortunately,
Yeah, and Jurassic World Rebirth made 736.4 million.
that was
Um,
a sizable box office gross.
yeah, so it is better. It's doing better well box office than Superman and Fantastic Four. The people love them dinosaurs there, um, so people do love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So right now, I mean, Jurassic World Rebirth is like the fourth highest grossing movie in 2025 so far. So it is.
What are the other three? Like Lilo and Stitch, and what are the other two?
So Injao 2 is number one.
Oh,
Then you have Lilo and Stitch, which made over a billion. Injao 2 made over 2 billion. Then you have a Minecraft movie which made $955 million. Holy shit.
I cannot believe I forgot about that movie. Like as soon as I asked that, I'm like, just cannot believe I forgot the Minecraft movie made almost $1 billion this year.
Then right now, so Jurassic World, which I mentioned, is fourth. How to Train Your Dragon is fifth with 613 million. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, 592. Seventh is Superman with 534 currently. F1 with over 532 million. Nine is Detective Chinatown, 1900, which made over 500 million. And then number 10 is Captain America: Brave New World with
Okay.
415 million right there. Yeah. So I mean, do you think this kind of spells disaster for Avengers Doomsday box office wise now that they've had kind of three movies in a row that haven't done so well?
I don't necessarily think it means disaster. I just think that Marvel and Disney have to reset their expectations. I just think in a post-COVID world, we're not in the era where where like 5 or 6 movies can make $1 billion every year at the box office. I think people are going to be much more choosy about what movies they see in theaters and what they choose to like spend money on. And I think a lot of these companies just have to get over themselves and just think that, all right, not everything is going to be going to make Avatar money or whatever. And just realize that, sometimes you have to just take the $500 million gross and just be happy with it.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think it means doom, because I think Marvel is just in their rebuilding mode right now. I think the more double hits that they do with these kind of movies, even if they are not the highest grossing movies in the world, will build up like the brand trust again. And I think that's what they need to focus on.
Yeah. So I know Avengers Doomsday, I mean, it's production wise, the budget on is probably going to be humongous. All these actors, then the marketing of it. I mean, they would have to probably get they I think they want in-game Infinity War numbers with this. Over a billion and a half, probably with it. It's probably what they at least want with this, given how big it's probably going to be. Um, and I think with Fantastic Four, I think they maybe should have advertised more that this isn't. Yes, it is a part of the MCU, but it's off in its own world, which I don't know how many people knew that. So you don't have to watch all these other movies to get what's going on in this movie. Like you can just watch this one. And I think they maybe should have maybe try to advertise that more, because I don't know how many people knew that this was basically like another Earth, another universe. It didn't have, it wasn't going to have any cameos from any of the other characters, which might have been refreshing to some people that way. I think they maybe should have done.
I will say that is like one of the more interesting parts about it to me, is the fact that it is so stylistically distinct from all the other MCU movies. To me, that's a big selling point. And you're right, they probably should have just advertised that this is his own thing, and you don't need to do a bunch of homework to figure out what's going on here. It might have helped with the marketing for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just some of our thoughts there. Any last words on this? I mean, maybe it could have be like a Elemental type thing. I know that had a very slow box office, but it just kept staying in theaters and just kept making money and making money. Like at first, people thought like, oh, this movie's a flop, it's not gonna do well, but it just stayed in theaters and it just kept kind of raking up the money. Maybe they could do something like that. What do you think?
Um, It's possible. The only thing I would say is that Elemental didn't have like a direct competition right next to it in the theater, so that might be a little more difficult given the fact that Superman also is out right now, which is directly competing with Fantastic Four. But I don't think the whole Marvel is doomed conversation is really like, I don't think that's happening. It's just you know, you just gotta lick your wounds a little bit and like just build the brand right, build the brand back up so that you can launch Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars and have it make all the money that's ever been printed in the world and stuff like that. But it just takes time, and I think people just need to be patient a little bit. But I don't think this is like doom and gloom. I will say though, I think the goodwill built up by Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four will pay dividends though in the future.
So, what do you think be the final box office for Fantastic Four?
Probably 450 if I had to guess.
450.
I think Superman's gonna outgross it about a little bit, but 450 is what I would guess for Fantastic Four.
Okay, 450. Yeah, I'd say maybe 420. I go for it. That's just a funny number. So, so yeah, so 450 from Neil. Initially, I think I had it at like 500 something, maybe on par with Superman, but looks like it's not gonna make that. So yeah, 420 is my new estimate there for it. But yeah, we'll see there. So that was our discussion. Fantastic Four, the first steps there. All right, I'll be heading out here. Thank you, Neil. Thanks for joining me, man. Much appreciated.
Happy to
Uh,
join you.
I'll go ahead and raid somebody there. I'll raid Endless Cemetery. He's playing Tekken 8 there. Or actually, I'll raid Pumpkin Boom. He's playing Death Stranding.
All right.
Death Stranding. One more time, Neil, where can people find you? What you got going on? What you got coming up next, man?
You can find me on Instagram and Letterboxd as Daft Neal, DAFTNEAL, and the PlayStation Network under that name. So hit me up, and I will. I look forward to coming on here again and talking more movies with you.
Very awesome. I'd love to have you on again. Pretty soon there. Next streams. I'm doing a stream tomorrow. I'm doing a stream there, probably 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Doing a review for Ironheart, the Marvel Disney Plus series. There, have you seen that?
I have not. I'm kind of very behind on MCU stuff in general. I mean, in Disney stuff in general. Like I only saw Andor season 2 like 2 weeks ago, just to give you an idea about how far behind I am.
Okay. What are your thoughts on it? Pretty great.
It's great. It honestly makes me mad that all Star Wars stuff is not on that level of quality, to be honest.
Yeah. So doing a review of that 28 days later. Then Monday, I'm going to be joined by Sage from Infant Immaturity, doing a review for Lazarus, the new Watanabe anime series there, creator of Samurai Champloo and Cowboy Bebop there. Next week, I will not be here. I'll be on a work trip. So Nick will be taking over for me, and he'll be doing his review with a special guest there of Weapons, Zach Krager's film. And then he'll be doing a retro review there. So very awesome there. So like I said, sends you over to Pumpkin Boom there, playing Death Stranding director's cut there. Very awesome. So everybody out there, stay tuned.
All right, take care.
Take care.